Welcome back to Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. We just completed the last chapter last time, so now we're continuing the recap here. The storyteller wrote a new story right before our very eyes. A man from afar falls to a golden curse, and a woman from afar cries out in grief. This passage could be referring to Mr. Wright and Miss Fay. We must hurry over to them at once. I have a terrible feeling something will happen at the alchemist's house today. Doesn't make sense. How has it come to this? The darn witch. Why did it have to happen to the professor of all people? You gotta believe me, Nick. I may be a spirit medium, but I'm no witch. Don't worry, I know it wasn't you. Say, have you seen Luke today? I haven't seen him since last night. He was crying all night. I didn't know what to say to him. No kidding. He's the one suffering most from all this. Poor kid. He probably just needs some time alone with his grief. We should leave him be. Yeah, he shouldn't have to see this trial. That'd be too hard on him. Oh, it's Espella. What are you doing here, Espella? Have you been cleared of the accusations? No, not yet. If only it were that easy. It's just that I'm not technically under arrest, so I got special permission to come here. I'm free to go wherever I like within this building. Ah, I see. I heard about Mr. Layton. It's awful. He's such a good man. I'm sorry, Espella. Huh? What are you apologizing for? We were supposed to find clues connected to Bazella. But we couldn't find anything, and now the professor's been... No, don't say that. It's not your fault. And don't believe a word of what they say about Maya. She isn't a witch. Thank you, Espella. Mr. Wright, do you mind if I assist you in court today? Huh? I know I may not be of much use, but I'll do what I can. I want to help you and Maya. Espella. Excuse me. You're... Greyarl, the butler of the late Master Belduke. I've come to inquire after Miss Maya. It is most regrettable what happened yesterday. Oh, thank you for calling me all the way here. You look really pale, Jean. Are you alright? Oh, please don't worry about me. It's merely that, since the incident, sleep has eluded me. Oh. I spent the night searching through Master's notes on alchemy. I hoped there'd be maybe some mention of a method by which something turned to gold may be reverted back to its original form. You were looking for a way to rescue the professor? Human fate is often cruel, but that's also why we must never lose hope. Jean. Defender accused. The trial is about to start. Proceed to the chamber. Yes, we're coming. Nick. Cheer up, Maya. I'm not gonna let them sentence you. I just wish... No one deserves to be burned. I know, I can't stand for it either. If you'll kindly excuse me now, I must return to my duties. No problem. We appreciate you coming to see us. Something's bothering me. Jean seems somewhat odd today. Let's go, Mr. Wright. The trial's about to begin.
The trial of Maya Fay shall now begin, as scheduled. Knights of the court, are you ready to cross your swords of justice?
Okay.
Inquisitor Zacharias Barnum always has his sword ready for the work of justice.
Defense ready, Your Honor. At this stage, I've just got to give it all I've got.
It would appear the defender has thrown down the gauntlet, Sir Barnum.
Uh-oh.
Now, before we begin, may I have a word with you, defender?
Yes, Your Honor.
Last time we met, you stood in this court as an apprentice baker. In all honesty, when I saw you for the first time, I thought to myself, a baker should stick to bread baking.
Is that so? What a fine first impression I made.
However, today you are not merely some befuddled maker of sweet buns. I'm obliged to fully recognize you
Speaking of sweet buns that I fully recognize, ho-ho.
as a knight of law and justice, on par with Inquisitor Zacharias Barnum. Now may your duel begin. Fight bravely and expose the truth behind this heinous crime.
All right! We're all counting on you, Inquisitor Barnum!
I knew she was a witch as soon as I laid my eyes on her. She's got witch written all over her. Why not put the baker on trial? Bake the baker, I say!
They treat him like some sort of celebrity.
He may be adored by the crowds, but when he pointed his sword my way, you managed to shield me from his accusations. Maya clearly isn't a witch, so surely your victory is certain.
That's what a white knight does, is defend fair maidens from pointed swords.
Thank you for believing in me, Espella.
Espella Cantabella. I have given you leave to come to this trial today. However, that does not mean that the charges against you have been dropped. Rather than worry about others, you should consider your own situation.
Thank you for granting me your permission, Inquisitor.
Inquisitor Barnum, you may begin your opening statement. As you wish, my lord. As usual, let us commence this trial by first recounting the events. If it pleases you, Sir Blue Knight. As, you wish, Inquisitor. Still can't get used to this terminology. A heinous crime occurred in the residence of the late Newton Duke, the alchemist. Here's the sketched plan of his residence. This room, of a somewhat questionable nature, is the alchemist's study, in which this incident took place. The only ones present at the moment of the crime were the accused and the victim, no one else. The witnesses who arrived at the scene seconds later have indicated where they have found the accused and the victim. Very well, the sketch is accepted as evidence. The accused took Sir Layton's life with the most cruel of magic. A living man 1 second, a golden statue the next. Such wickedness. Magic that turns things into gold? Sure, why not? Several townspeople rushed to the room and paid witness to the horror of this magic. The accused has been captured and charged. Goodness, that is terrifying. Rumors have reached me that the victim was a most scintillating man. I'm not quite certain whether it was prior to or after. But incidentally, was this Sir Layton not the same hat maker who attended our previous trial? No, he wasn't a hat maker. As odd as it is. Sir Layton's profession and origin remain unknown. He was a stranger in this city, that's all we know. And you, sir, his acquaintance, you are an unusual presence in our city yourself. Today's case is certainly peculiar. And that is not the last of the peculiarities, my lord. The alchemist's study has been the scene of another strange incident in the past. Oh yes, I remember it yesterday. The mysterious death of Newton Belduke himself. Indeed, my lord. Regrettably, the only case into witchcraft still to remain unsolved in our fair city. The witch may have escaped her punishment back then. But perhaps today is the day on which both these mysterious crimes shall be solved. What? What are you implying? Patience! You shall know soon enough, Sir Suddenly Player Blue Knight. How interesting. Seems that the Inquisition has something up the sleeve. Now, Inquisitor Barnum, you may begin. The Inquisition summons the witness to of this malicious crime of witchcraft. If only I'd made it into the room sooner. Maybe I could have prevented all this from happening. I won't let Maya take the rap for this. I'll have to find every single crack in their testimony and prove it wasn't her. Welcome to the Witch's Court, honorable witnesses. Now, let us hear your names and occupations. I'm known far as wide as a near punching bag for the first, soon to be a new head of Punching Bag's retail organization, Pro.
Hang on!
Wait a minute, witness. What's that, Blue Squire? You're that guy from the previous trial. Just what the heck's happened to you? You look like you've been on one of those ultimate makeover shows. Whatever do you mean? Me name is Mayor Punching Bag the First, soon to be head of the Punching Bag Retail Organization Pro. What is the meaning of this, Inquisitor? I do not care to delve into the witness's personal affairs. Looks like he remembers him all too well. Witnesses, pray continue. Oh, dearie, dearie me. It is I who usually ask the questions. I am, you see, but a humble teacher. Call me Miss Primstone. The children of Labyrinthia Primary School have the privilege of learning the truths about this world from me. An elementary school teacher, huh? Didn't know at least one witness seems sensible. The winds carry my song, it's badly, stringing along, parrot and bard and some beloved god. My faithful muse here is Cracker, the musical parrot. No one understands music like Cracker, aside from Minnie, unnaturally. It's not another goat. What a smart bird. He imitated that teacher perfectly. I'm Luke Triton. My occupation is Professor's Apprentice. Luke? Luke, but why? What are you doing there? I made up my mind. I'm doing this for the Professor. A gentleman has to pursue the truth. But, Luke, that's where the Inquisition's witnesses stand. I'll never forgive that witch. A gentleman shouldn't glare at people as if he wants to hit them in the face. Luke. A friend today can be your enemy tomorrow. Such is the hard reality of the battlefield. Witnesses, we will now hear your testimonies. Tell us all of this wicked incident, which you've been unfortunate enough to witness. What we witnessed. I heard the scream and incantation, and then when I entered the room, the victim was already all shiny. Mayhaps something caused discord between erstwhile friends. Mr. Silkhat had a knife at the ready in his hand. Victim of magic sparkly and done for, I heard the staff fall on the floor. Professor must have seen through. Oops. Oh, well, I can read it again. That's not a big deal. I see. Thank you all. However, one part of the confusing was somewhat confusing. You there, the singer. Singer? Could you possibly be me? Birdley the Bard, your excellence? Yes, that would be you, singer. The staff, you said, sung about. It is as you suspect, my lord. This very witch's scepter. There are two different magic gems attached, meaning the perpetrator could have used two types of magic. Yeah, it would seem so. This gem here enables the use of a gold transmutation spell, Goldor. Goldor. The word alone makes the tiny hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Har har har, that's the one, alright. That's the dreadful incantation that I, Emir Punching Bag the First, also had. Oh, dearie, dearie me, I have seen that scepter, so I have. Clank tips over the golden man, the scepter falls, not the witch's plan. Why does this thing sound like a bagpipe? Oh, dearie, dearie me. How dare she do that to the professor? By the way, the witch's scepter was found on the floor near the victim. The scepter dropped by the accused would naturally tumble to exactly that spot.
Objection!
Inquisitor Barnum, what you're saying amounts to nothing more than baseless assumption. You're on edge today, Sir Blue Knight. Is it because your friend is on trial? Perhaps you'd better cool yourself down. Well, anyway, the court accepts the scepter as evidence. Thank you, my lord. Inquisitor Barnum, may I ask you something? What is it now, Sir Blue Knight? We know that one of the gems is for the spell Goldor, but what about the other one? A naive question. Huh? Naivety may be no hindrance to a baker who spends most of his time amidst bread, but it can be your undoing here in court. Would a knight put a weapon in his enemy's hand? He's telling me to do my homework, huh? Mr. Wright, I'll look for information about that magic gem in the Grand Grimoire. Thank you, Isabella. That'd be great. Just leave it to me. She seems very happy to help. The defendant may interrogate the witnesses. First, I'm going to see what he said. Professor must have seen through Miss Maya's deception and confronted her right there, face to face.
Hold it!
Are you saying you think they quarreled? The other day I saw you all together in this very court, and you were evidently friends. Well, yeah, that's true, but what's that got to do with... Now, everyone, listen carefully. No chatting in the back row. What I say now will be in the next exam. Miss Brimstone's lesson number 5. Friendship leads to nothing but trouble. People would not break up and part ways in anger if they did not become friends in the first place. Kids in her class must grow up to be model citizens. Now, dearie, dearie me, what I saw in the room curdled the blood in my veins. Mr. Silk Hat was pointing that glittering knife ever so threateningly.
Hang on!
Is everything okay, Luke? Oh, of course it's not okay. The professor was a true gentleman. And no gentleman would go around threatening people with knives. Why am I giving him that voice? I couldn't agree more. Professor! Can't get it back now. Silly boy, as your professor pointing a knife. I saw your professor pointing a knife. Are you insinuating that I'm a liar, you cheeky little whippersnapper? The professor would never do that. You don't know him. At least Luke's found someone else to antagonize. Mr. Wright? What is it? I think there was some important information in Miss Brimstone's testimony. Really? Oh, I'm sorry. It's not my place to say things like that. I didn't notice anything. What could it be? What was Espella about to say? Espella, why don't you tell us all what you noticed? Oh, is that okay? It's just something I'd like to ask Miss Brimstone about. Well, go ahead and ask her. Excuse me, Miss Brimstone? Do you mind if I ask you a question? Oh, it's you, Miss Isabella Cantabella. Miss Brimstone, did you actually see the knife that Mr. Layton was holding? I did, as a matter of fact, yes. I remember the glinting blade very well. A most frightening sight it was, too. And you saw that from the door, didn't you? Now, if we look at the sketch... When the incident took place, Mr. Layton must have been facing this way, correct? That must have been the case. Otherwise, the witness would not have been able to see it. Well, that's what I wanted to ask. The more information we have, the better, right? The direction the professor was facing. That could be important. This information shall be added to the court record. I'm sorry I jumped in like that, but I really wanted to help. Not at all, Isabella. We were able to get some more info, which may come in handy. You think so? Now then, the next witness shall continue with the testimony.
Objection!
Luke, you said that you will only believe what you see with your own eyes. But what you think you saw may not be the whole truth. Nah, what do you mean? Take a close look at the sketch of the crime scene. At the time of the incident, Professor Layton and Maya were standing here. Now, we've learned from Mrs. Brimstone's testimony which way the professor was facing. He was facing this way. Oh. You have testified that the professor confronted Maya face to face. But looking at the sketch of where they were standing, one thing is clear. There's a contradiction in your testimony. What?
Objection!
Whether they were facing each other or not is of no relevance whatsoever. They were the only ones in that room. One was the victim, thus the other one must be a witch.
Objection!
I will ask you to wait before jumping to conclusions, Inquisitor. Think back to Miss Brimstone's testimony. She told us that the professor was pointing a knife at someone threateningly. However, you can see from the sketch that she wasn't threatening Maya. So then, who was he pointing the knife at?
Hold it!
Luke, what is it? The professor would never point a knife at anyone. I was the one who opened the door to that room, so I was the first witness, and I saw no knife. Miss Brimstone's testimony is not reliable. How dare me? Will you look at this child sputtering nonsense and talking badly of his elders? Inquisitor Barnum? Yes, my lord? It should pose no difficulty to verify whether or not the victim had a knife. After all, that sparkling golden body of his has been found at the scene of the crime, has it not? Indeed it has, my lord. Court attendants, you heard the judge. Bring the victim into the courtroom. Seems like they're going to bring in the golden statue. Professor. Does seem like he was just pointing his finger, but yeah, the arm fell off, so we can't tell if it was a knife or not. Professor! Professor! So this is the power of the gold transmutation spell. Most spectacular. Looks like a work of the finest artisans. I assure you, this is the work of no artisans, my lord. By the way, the missing arm has not yet been found. Oh, I can't believe this, Professor. Suppose we should add the victim to the evidence. The poor professor who, while searching for evidence, became evidence. This is unfortunate. Thought as the evidence would be as good as gold. Pardon the pun there. But although it technically is, we're still no closer to disseminating whether or not the victim was holding a knife.
Hold it!
Let me speak, please. Maya, The professor didn't have a knife, and also, there was another person in that room. The real witch was there too. Please believe me. Accused, do I really need to warn you again? Inside the cage, you would behave like a bird that has forgotten its song. Speak again, you shall be punished. Or are you in a particular hurry to taste the flames of justice, little bird?
Objection!
But it's true that someone else could have been at the crime scene. Look at the sketch. The victim was facing towards someone, and that person wasn't Maya. Sir Blue Knight, your ignorance is no longer even a surprise. Huh? You do not even know what's transpired at the crime scene. You think this man was pointing at another person, you say? Let me tell you this. Nearly everyone in the court other than you knows what Sir Hat was pointing at. Well, what? Well, honorable witnesses, is that not so? Oh, you mere punching back to first love me some gossip and stories of the occult. Elusive like mist, the magical beast. Its chilling breath brings about death. Oh, dearie, dearie me, you could use some education, Blue Knight. I cannot offer you private tuition. But I can offer you private tuition, but it will not come cheap. The professor wasn't comforting Maya. Witnesses, you may now testify. Tell us all about this other presence at the crime scene. We all know what happened to that alchemist. This case is no mystery. Same place, same magic trick. This time, her luck ran out and she dropped that magic scepter. The target obscured by a twisted ruse, the witch couldn't vanish but did confuse. It happened because the professor unraveled the mystery behind all these witches. The same magic trick was used. They're referring to an incident from 3 months ago. Much like this incident, a man lost his life to witchcraft in that very room. It was the master of the residence, Sir Newton Belduke, the alchemist. He suffered death by strangulation. Finger marks were left on his neck. He had locked himself in the study and the key was still in his pocket. In other words, no one could have entered that room. The perpetrator disappeared from a locked room, just like in this case. A large amount of powdered medicine was spilt all over the floor. Powdered medicine. Sir Belduke was an alchemist. He possessed various medicinal concoctions. Due to the presence of powder that anyone entered that room, had anyone entered that room, clear footprints would have remained, if there were none. That's the kind of mystery the professor would have loved to solve. Thus, there were two unnatural circumstances to Sir Belduke's death. The culprit's disappearance from locked room, and the fact that they appeared not to have walked on the floor. It's almost as if they flew away. In other words, it could have been the Demir magic that was used in my case the other day. Seems like the killer levitated above the floor, strangled Belduke, and then vanished into thin air. But what does that have to do with this trial? It has been 3 months since that murder. Despite that, we still haven't been able to find the witch responsible. But now, having eluded us for so long, that witch has finally been brought before this court. We will have justice. What? No way, now he thinks Maya killed the alchemist too? We weren't even here back then, but it's not like I can explain that to him. Well then, why don't you interrogate the witnesses? Now that you're aware of the connection between two murders.
Objection!
You can't be serious. 3 months ago, we weren't even... Defender, you may interrogate the witness. May their testimonies lead us to the truth.
Hold it!
Would you care to elaborate on that, Miss Primstone? You could say I'm a scholar, and my knowledge is vast and diverse. I know a thing or two about witchcraft. Therefore, I have a very good idea of the type of magic that must have been used this time. The magic behind the mysterious figure that appeared out of nowhere, glided through the air and vanished after making the kill? Indeed, yes, and the witch's scepter confirms my theory. Brilliant deduction. I'm honored to have studied under such an excellent teacher, such as yourself, Mrs. Primrose. She was his teacher? Actually, I guess that explains kind of a lot. Our occult crime analysts have arrived at the same conclusion. Mr. Wright, I found it. The page about the purple magic gem. The spell is called Famalia. Famalia? What does it do? The spell Famalia, bound within this purple gem, is used to summon a familiar. Familiars appear out of nowhere, glide through the air, and vanish when their task is accomplished. They are evil, bloodthirsty spirits used by witches to perform outrageous crimes. Evil spirits? Are you saying that the witch used a familiar too? It was a familiar that took Sir Belduke's life, and now it has appeared again. Silk Hat was probably trying to ward off the evil spirit with his knife. But what good is a knife against an occult creature? It completed its task given to it by the witch and promptly vanished, thus bringing us to the conclusion that Sir Belduke and Sir Silk Hat were both killed by the same witch. What? What an unexpected turn of events. The two incidents have been shown to be connected. Even the same witch's scepter having been used in both cases. Oh, this is terrible. Nabaya is accused of 2 murders. Oh, dearie, dearie me, I was right as always. This gruesome murder will be in the next exam. Make sure to take notes. Now I shall divulge what really happened. We're all ears, Miss Primstone.
Hold it!
Did you actually see the familiar? Oh, dearie, dearie me, no, I did not. When that boy opened the door, the familiar had just disappeared. Had that boy opened the door sooner, no doubt we would have all seen it. If he were my student, I would have made sure to teach him not to dilly-dally.
Hang on!
Is everything all right, Luke? You seem to be deep in thought about something. No, it's not right at all. Is there something in Mrs. Primstone's testimony that you'd like to comment on? Alright, sorry to kind of get it in the middle here, but I'm going to have to stop it here for now. We're going to have more of this on Friday. Or no, Saturday. No, Friday. Yes, Friday. God, I keep getting confused. Should have the schedule printed out or something. So yeah, more of this on Friday, and we will have more of the newer Inner World game, The Last Wind Monk, that we've been doing. It's kind of growing on me, so check that out tomorrow. And then we have the normal schedule, Wario Land 4 on Tuesday, Judgment on Wednesday, Voice of Cards on Thursday, and like I said, more of this on Friday. So thanks for watching, and we will catch you next time. Have a great weekend.